Hey folks, how's it going? All right, so I've got a lot to talk about. Um, I've got several articles that I want to go over and to talk about, but I'm going to have to split this up into two, maybe even three videos because this first article, just by itself, is 12 pages long. Now, obviously, I'm not going to discuss everything in this article, but I do want to hit on a lot of points that it makes. And it's another signal, folks, that we are headed to a very difficult time with this economy. Um, there's some things going on with the job numbers that they manipulate them. Let's just say that it's that's all there is to it. They manipulate them to make them sound better than what they actually are. But at some point, they have to start revising this stuff to what it actually is. We've got massive layoffs coming. I will tell you that. That's going to have to be in a separate video. Um, but let me get on into this. This first article comes from Zero Hedge. Uh, Labor market implodes, job openings crater, prior data unexpectedly revised sharply lower. For months, we've been warning that at a time when the U.S. economy is careening into a hard landing recession, the manipulated, seasonally adjusted, and politically goal-seeked job openings data released as part of the DOL's JOLTS report is sheer rubbish. Today, the BLS finally got the memo. Uh, so, with consensus expecting only a modest drop in the July job openings from 9.582 million to 9.5 million, what the BLS reported instead was a doozy. In July, there were just 8.827 million job openings, the first sub 9 million print since March 2021. It was also the third biggest miss on record. Okay, so what's happened is they've projected a certain number of job openings to indicate the strength of the economy. Uh, and when the numbers finally came out, the job openings are way, way lower. Now, that's not necessarily, but that can be because of a few things. One, it could be because unemployment is so low and uh, so many people are actually in the labor force, or it can be from the fact that companies are cutting jobs and not hiring for those positions. The reality is, it's the latter of the two. Um, these job openings are so much lower now because jobs are cutting positions, they're streamlining and slimming down their workforce, and a lot of people are not drawing unemployment. All right, so to continue on in the article, worse, had the BLS not drastically slashed the May number from 9.582 million to a laughable 9.165 million, the drop would have been almost 800,000 job openings. And yes, today's downward revision continues the recent trend of every single data point in the Biden administration being revised sharply lower. Okay, so that's 800,000 jobs that are not being filled, that are not actually being hired for. And they make a point here that every single data point handed out by the Biden administration has been revised to a lower number, which is to a negative. That's not good. But let me pick up. I cut myself off, but let me continue here. And continues the recent trend of every single data point in the Biden administration being revised sharply lower in subsequent months in a coordinated propaganda attempt to make the economy look stronger, then quietly revise it away when everyone forgets. See, that's what's going on. They make it look like the economy is doing so much better than what it actually is. And then when people's attentions are no longer on the jobs reports and focused on something else, cue the Trump indictments and COVID warnings, then they revise it down to what it actually is when they know people aren't paying attention. One of the X posts, Twitter or X posts, not, yeah. All the from Zero Hedge, all the 2023 monthly jobs data was revised lower, and now all the housing data has also been revised lower. Uh, Another post, monthly payrolls number in 2023 has been revised lower to manipulate perception in markets. Uh, Industrial production reported at 1%, uh, experienced 0.3%, last revised down to 0.8%. Manufacturing production 0.5%, down to 0.0%, now down to negative 0.5%. Cap utilization 79.3%, down to 79.1%, and now down to 78.6%. And while 1 month does not a trend make, 3 months does, which is bad because the 3 month drop in job openings was 1.5 million, the second highest on record, surpassed only by the total economic shutdown during the COVID crash. So, what they're saying here is the reduction in job openings is only surpassed, it's the second highest on record, and it's only surpassed by when they shut down the entire economic sector during the COVID lockdowns. According to the BLS, the largest decrease in job openings was in professional and business services, uh, negative 198,000. Let's see. I want to look at something here real quick. Yeah, it's down 198,000. Healthcare and social assistance down 130,000. State and local government, excluding education, down 67,000. State and local government education down 62,000. Federal government down 27,000. By contrast, job openings increased in information by 101,000 and in transportation, warehousing, and utilities up 75,000. Now, I'm not going to complain about government jobs being shut down. Our our government is so overweight and bloated that we need to cut back on some of this government crap, uh, because it's so large, so bloated that it's just not working anymore, and we're paying taxes to fund an overweight bloated government that really does nothing but restrict us and try to control us. All right, so there's a lot of graphs in this article, which is one reason it's so long. The plunge in numbers of job openings meant that in July, the number of job openings was just 2.986 million more than the number of unemployed workers, the lowest since August 2021. Said otherwise, in July, the number of job openings to unemployed dropped just 1.51, the lowest level since September of 2021. As the number of job openings cratered to the lowest in more than 2 years, the number of people quitting their jobs, an indicator traditionally closely associated with labor market strength, as it shows workers are confident they can find a better wage elsewhere, also plunged by 253,000 to just 3.549 million after tumbling 265,000 in May, the lowest since February 2021. What that means, for those that have trouble following that means uh, if a lot of people are quitting their jobs, it indicates that they have confidence that they can find another job. The job market is healthy enough that they can find another position. This is actually indicating that people are not quitting their jobs. An indicator that they're concerned about the economy uh, the rising cost of goods, and that they're concerned that they may not be able to find another job. And just in case some still believe the Bidenomics strong jobs lie, the number of hires also crashed in July, plunging by 167,000 to just 5.773 million, the lowest level since January 2021. So what to make of this ugly data, which was not only UBS but also the NFIB? Okay, so it's going through a whole bunch of charts, and I'm dropping some of my notes here. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. All right, opportunity insights, and even Goldman. Everything is down. The answer is simple. While the drop was substantial, the real number of job openings remains still far lower, since half of it, some 70% to be specific, is guesswork. As the BLS admits, as the BLS itself admits, while the response rate to most of its various labor surveys has collapsed in recent years, nothing is as bad as the JOLTS report, where the actual response rate has tumbled to a record low of 31%. In other words, more than 2/3 or 70% of the final number of job openings is estimated. So the vast majority of job openings they're having to guess at, because they're not actually getting the data from the reports. At a time when it's critical for Biden to still maintain the illusion that at least the labor market remains strong when everything else in Biden's economy is crashing and burning, we'll let readers decide if the admin's labor department is plugging the estimate gap with numbers that are stronger or weaker. I'm going to say that they're plugging everything with stronger numbers. Again, to carry on the illusion that everything is better than it actually is. As for the Fed, now that the labor market has officially cracked because of a sub 9 million print, means that the rate hikes are really taking their toll on the economy. No surprise that odds of a May rate hike. Actually, this didn't finish printing. Okay, so here's the basics. Here's the rubdown of it. Job openings are crashing. Uh, Job openings are crashing because companies are laying off or they're not hiring anymore. They're trying to make do with what labor force they have, or in some cases, they're uh, trying to automate. Uh, People aren't quitting their jobs to look for better jobs, obviously, because they're not sure if they can find another job, but also because they can't take the risk of being unemployed in an economy where everything is getting more and more expensive uh, and uncertain. Uh, so this just, like I said before, this is just one more indicator of how bad things really are. And I would argue the point that that article doesn't take it far enough. That it's probably even worse than what's said in that article. Again, I've got more articles that I want to discuss about layoffs, store closings. There's a lot of store closings going on, a lot of restaurant closures going on, massive amounts of layoffs, uh, furloughs, you name it. There's a lot of that going on. That's going to be in my next video. I just don't want to. I don't want to make a 30, 40-minute video where people aren't going to get this information. Things are looking bad, folks. And my gut is telling me this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're only seeing the iceberg that's above the water. We're not seeing the massive uh, trouble below the surface, but we will at some point, particularly if our economy just keeps going like it is and we run headlong into all of this. So it's getting bad. It's looking like it's going to be even worse. Do what you got to do, folks. Be prepping like crazy. That's all I got to say. Prep like crazy. Prep like your life depends on it, because it may very well. Uh, we have a problem in this country with a very high crime rate, a lot of violence in this country. That's with people making money, having plenty of food, having tons of government assistance to buy food and help pay bills. What's going to happen when the economy crashes so bad that over half the country's population is out of work? Food and necessities are so expensive that those that work uh, can't even afford to buy it, even though they are still working. Um, there's you never know what people are really capable of, but I guarantee you push people to desperation from hunger and inability to pay bills, not getting the government assistance that they're accustomed to. You're going to see just how violent people can be. And I would say that the majority of people in this country have no real understanding of just how violent people can be. All this stuff you're seeing on the news, from the past few years, all these protests, the riots, the shootings, that's a that's nothing. That's a that's a minuscule amount of violence compared to what you'll see when people start going hungry and trying to fight for food. Uh, so yeah, just prep like crazy. Your life may depend on it. I remember several years ago where there was a glitch in the food stamp system in Atlanta, and the payment. Sorry about all the background noise, folks. The payment was food stamp payment was going to be credited to EBT cards a day late, 1 day late, 24 hours. But people in Atlanta were so angry about it that they were threatening to storm the DFAX building and rip its doors down to find out what was going on, where their money was. Keep in mind where their money was, not where taxpayers' money was, not the government's money, but where their money is. See, all these people on government assistance think that they are entitled to all that assistance, and they think that that money is rightfully theirs. When in reality, it's there for assistance. It's not intended for them to live off of. But they view it as, this is mine and I should get it regardless. It's not looking good, folks. And things are going to get bad. And when you have that kind of mentality among people that believe that they're entitled to all of it and they can't get it, and they're willing to rip doors off of a building just because their money arrived a day late, just imagine what they're going to do when that food is either unavailable or priced so high that they can't afford it. Use your imagination. Like I said, prep while you can. Do everything you possibly can. It's going to get bad, folks. That's all I've got for right now. I appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And as always, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and your families. Keep prepping. Don't get complacent. And until next time, I'll catch you later.